First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
Good evening and welcome to WUFT News' First at 5. I'm Fareeha Abrar.
And I'm Francis Kapper. Thanks for joining us.
The Fast and Furious are in our city.
That's right. Gator Nationals is back in town. Kaityn Wadulack joins us live from the center of action.
I'm here at the Gainesville Raceway where the 54th Annual Gator Nationals is well underway. It's a signature event for the National Hot Rod Association. Today's racing is filled with qualifying sessions of 8 different drag categories. Historically, the NHRA has jump-started its racing season in California. This is the first year to start in Florida. Speaking of first, driver Alex Laughlin is competing in his first ever Nitro Funny Car race.
It's a new car, new team, new program and everything. And so even personally, I have thousands of runs down the drag strip, but this is like the first day of school for me.
More than 100,000 fans are expected to attend some part of this 4-day event. Now joining me now is Top Fuel driver Antron Brown. Antron, you made your NHRA debut here back in 1998. What's it like being back here racing today?
It's incredible. It's our Gator Nationals, one of our biggest races of the year, and it's the kickoff of our race this year in 2023. So almost won the championship coming back here. This track's known for one thing, breaking mile-an-hour records, and we just went 332 miles an hour in our first qualifying run. So there's plenty more out there, and tonight we should light it up.
Now this track here at Gainesville Raceway is known for being fast, especially when the weather conditions are great. Do you enjoy racing at this track?
Oh, we love coming here. You know, when I was a kid growing up, this was a place, this is like our Disney World. We come here to the Gators here, and we come here to Gainesville. Every time you come here, you're going to see something spectacular, and all the races of racers are of who show up to show out. So when you come here, if you win the Gator Nationals, it's like winning a championship inside itself. So this race right here, even though it's our first race of the year, it's got a lot at stake right now.
Now, I've got to ask, what's the fastest you've gone on the track?
335 miles an hour, but the world record right now, I believe it's like 338. So maybe this weekend we can squeak out that 339.
For sure. Reporting from Gainesville Raceway, I'm Kaityn Wadulack, WUFT News. Back to the desk.
Thanks, Caitlin. It's looking kind of muggy out there. What do you think, Fareeha?
Yeah, it kind of does, and I hope she stays dry. I wouldn't want to kick off spring break struggling on my drive home. WUFT's Julia Haley joins us now with the weather forecast. Julia, what should we expect?
Fareeha, Francis, a little later you are going to want to stay inside. We are currently tracking some severe weather warnings and statements across the area, seeing this cold front start to push through the panhandle, giving us those high values of wind gusts in our area. Up to 30 miles per hour is what we've seen today. 26 miles per hour even here in Gainesville and Ocala. Those southwesterly winds helping to bring the warmth and the heat to our area. 78 degrees in Gainesville, 76 Ocala. And if you're planning on going to Gator Nationals for the rest of the evening, expect that chance for showers to last just a little bit longer. We are dipping into the 60s overnight. Back to you.
Speaking of the weather, California is about to get clobbered again. This time they're expecting flash flooding and mudslides with heavy rain landing on top of the earlier heavy snows. And the upper Midwest is looking at a series of snowfalls. NBC's Maggie Vespa is in Detroit with the latest on the dual threats.
It's really coming down here in the Motor City with up to 6 inches of snow expected here in Detroit by tonight. And meanwhile, out on the West Coast, a new atmospheric river is barreling into California, dumping rain and snow on parts of that state that, as we know, are already inundated after a record-setting winter. Tens of thousands losing power overnight, evacuation orders popping up and down the state with 16 million people under flood watches. Just this morning, 34 counties at last check under states of emergency, including 5 in the San Francisco Bay Area, and they're expecting potential flooding and landslides there. So all of that in mind, Governor Gavin Newsom is now asking President Biden for a state of emergency to declare a federal one, possibly freeing up federal resources to again help the hardest hit parts of that state. As all of that plays out west, again here in the Midwest, millions waking up to scenes like this, knowing that as this system moves through, a second one appears to be on the way, set to slam parts of the upper Midwest and the high plains with heavy, again, rain, wind, and snow later on tonight. Back to you.
In Alachua, a 35-year-old woman with a rare genetic disorder is missing and could be in danger. The Alachua County Sheriff's Office is searching for Danielle White, who was last seen around 8 a.m. Thursday. I spoke with Danielle's mother earlier, who described her daughter as a genius and a sweet, loving young girl. According to the Sheriff's Office, Danielle White was last seen wearing a multicolored dress. Her mother thinks it's a Lily Pulitzer, Crocs, and glasses. She is a white, 5'1" woman between 320 and 350 pounds, according to her mom. Danielle has Prader-Willi syndrome, a genetic disorder affecting appetite, growth, metabolism, cognitive function, and behavior. If you see Danielle, her mother says to be cautious and call authorities.
If you were to see her, you would call 911 and say, I see her in front of me. Don't let her know you've seen her, because she's going to run. Please help me find my daughter. I mean, it's hard to sleep when you have no idea if she's even warm.
According to ACSO, White left the area on foot without her medication. If you see Danielle White, contact the Alachua County Sheriff's Office at 352-955-1818. That's 352-955-1818. A suspected smuggling boat washed ashore this morning in Boynton Beach. According to Border Protection agents, it's close to a location where 10 migrants were recently found. A small crowd of onlookers gathered around the vessel this morning.
Okay, was this drugs? Was this immigrants? This is probably somebody looking for a better life. And it's a good feeling and a sad feeling at the same time, just because you don't know what happened to them. And it's sad to see a boat that was perfect at the time just being destroyed up on the beach.
The 10 migrants found were from a mix of countries. The Border Patrol says the investigation is ongoing.
Part of Gainesville's music community is hitting the road, but they're not on tour. Some bands in Gainesville have to find a new practice home following a series of eviction notices from Mini-Mac's warehouse. The practice location was originally kept a well-kept secret, but eventually became a very popular practice spot. Upwards of 30 bands shared 11 storage units. Tate Clare, frontman for the band Loose Bearings, said, "It's just like the rug has been pulled right out from under us overnight." The warehouse is owned by Santa Fe College Foundation, which declined to comment on the evictions. So far, no other details have been released, but an investigation is underway.
Coming up, a latest on the investigation involving the kidnapping of 4 Americans in Mexico when we return.
You're watching WUFT TV News.
Welcome back. It may sound strange, but it looks like a Mexican drug cartel issued an apology for kidnapping 4 Americans and killing 2 of them. NBC's Chris Pallone brings us the latest on the investigation.
The bodies of 2 Americans killed in Mexico are now back in the U.S. a week after their group crossed the border and came under fire. Investigators believe a notorious Mexican drug cartel attacked the group in a likely case of mistaken identity. And now a surprising twist. 5 men left beaten and bound near the scene of the kidnapping in Matamoros, along with a note appearing to be an apology from the cartel itself.
They made a huge mistake. They killed 2 Americans. And they know that the Mexican government going after them. They know that we're going to go after them as well.
The letter obtained by the Associated Press claims the attackers acted against the cartel's rules. It says in part, the Gulf Cartel Scorpion Group strongly condemns the events of Friday, March 3rd. For this reason, we have decided to hand over those involved. It's unclear right now whether those men in the picture are the actual attackers.
Good morning, America!
5 people set out from South Carolina last week to bring Latavia McGee to Mexico for a medical procedure. 1 stayed behind in the U.S., lacking the documents needed to cross the border. The other 4 were attacked and kidnapped. McGee is one of 2 survivors.
She watched them die.
South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham now pushing to declare 9 Mexican cartels foreign terrorist organizations.
We're going to unleash the fury and might of the United States against these cartels.
The cartel ended its letter asking society to remain calm. Chris Pallone, NBC News, Washington.
Job growth in February was stronger than expected. The Labor Department reported today that non-farm payrolls rose by 311,000 jobs. The unemployment rate came in at 3.6%. The job growth was less than the previous month, but the January numbers were also unusually strong.
It's payday for many Americans, but some Wells Fargo customers are complaining about not seeing the expected direct deposits. The bank informed customers it's due to a technical glitch. In a statement given to NBC News, Wells Fargo said accounts are secure and they're working to resolve the problem as quickly as possible. There's nothing like an Iowa visit to make a politician look like they're testing the waters for a presidential bid. Today, that politician is Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. He also sounded the part, taking both shots at Joe Biden and Donald Trump over the federal response to COVID. A new Des Moines Register poll shows most Iowa Republicans are both supportive of Trump and of other candidates.
As America springs forward this weekend with daylight saving time, U.S. senators hope it's for the last time. The Senate passed their bill last year to just have daylight saving time year-round, but the House never voted. They're reintroducing the bill this year. Some clock changes are no longer needed for energy saving nor farming concerns, and switching can actually be harmful to your health.
The problem is that our social clocks, which are those clocks set by work and by school, don't change. And so we still have to wake up in the morning. And so by going to bed later and waking up at the same time, we end up getting less sleep.
Experts say you can try to make the change in a couple of steps instead of a full hour on Sunday.
With rain and snow hitting the West Coast, I wonder how the Florida weather is going to look for us this weekend.
You know, I'm wondering the same thing too, because I'm driving down to Jack's just after this newscast. So Julia, what can I expect on the roads?
Well, those road conditions showing that just around I-10 and making their way toward Jacksonville as well. It's going to be very slippery, so I don't know if driving will be the best idea tonight. I'll have your weekend travel forecast in a few minutes.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Currently tracking severe weather across North Florida, especially along I-10 moving toward Lake City. This cold front is bringing in some wind gusts, very high values up to 30 miles per hour, and showers right in front of it as well. Now, we had some tornado warnings earlier, but right now currently just seeing those storms and severe weather statements released. Temperatures currently sitting in the 70s, seeing that effect of the cold front start around I-10, seeing 70 degrees for Live Oak, 73 Lake City, and even 77 for Gainesville. Once again, those values sitting almost 30 miles per hour. Those southwesterly winds helping to keep us warm for our Friday. And for this week, expecting these cloudy skies not to last much longer. Currently seeing those cumulus clouds right now, 77 degrees outside, but these clouds are going to go away, thankfully. But for right now, if you are planning on going to that baseball game tonight, Florida versus Siena, expect that chance for showers to last throughout the majority of the game. And speaking of roads, road conditions looking a little slippery outside, so you may want to stay inside. Maybe not drive tonight either, as we are seeing those increased slippery roads outside. Especially speaking of roads, Gator Nationals. This is your itinerary for the week, starting out with those scattered storms for your Friday, and then starting to see that sunshine start to peek through for your Saturday. That cold front not dipping our temperatures too much, and those clouds are rolling in on your Sunday. Now for Saturday morning, sitting in the 50s for your lows, no fog in the morning, so it's going to be very clear outside for your Saturday. Your highs are sitting in the 70s. Once again, that cold front not affecting us too much. Now daylight saving time does start, so you do want to spring forward 1 hour, and that's going to start Sunday at 2 a.m. Turn your clocks forward 1 hour. Now to recap, currently seeing that cold front make its way through, then this high pressure system giving us sunny skies for our Saturday and into our weekend, seeing those clouds start to build, and then seeing more chances for showers as this cold front is going to move through on Monday, giving us that second round of showers throughout the week. And for your forecast, starting to drop into the 60s due to that second cold front on Monday. Make sure to turn your clocks back 1 hour on Sunday and rising again throughout the week. Back to you.
Thanks, Julia. You know, I'm a little bit nervous now because you're telling me to be a bit cautious on my drive, because while most students have plans for spring break, the Gator baseball team has plans to stay here in Gainesville.
That's right, the Gators are here for another 3-game series. Coming up on WFT News First at 5, Gabriela Vitale has news for the Florida baseball this weekend. All of that and more when we come back.
You're watching WUFT TV News.
Welcome back. I'm Gabriela Vitale. Let's get into sports. On the circle this weekend, the number 8 Gators softball team is hosting Louisiana, Rutgers, and Mercer in the Bubbly Invitational. The Gators are currently playing Mercer right now and are up 8-2 in the third. After this game is over, they'll turn to play Louisiana at 6. Florida will rematch against these two teams tomorrow. They'll play Mercer at 11 a.m. and Louisiana at 1:30, as well as Rutgers Sunday at noon. Now, moving over to the team who leads the nation in long balls and base hits, the number 6 Florida Gators baseball team will host Siena in a 3-game series starting tonight. The Gators are coming off a sweep of a midweek slate against FAU earlier this week. Wednesday's game featured a shutout by the pitching staff and a walk-off mercy rule grand slam, as you may say, from the guy who's tied atop the NCAA home run lead, Jack Caglione. So far this season, the Gators have racked up double-digit hits in 13 of 15 games. They are also averaging 12.4 hits a game and have scored in 59% of innings so far. Brandon Sproat will toe the rubber tonight with Hurston Waldrop tomorrow and two-way Caglione on Sunday. From bat flips to front flips, the number 3 Florida Gators gymnastics team closes regular season action on Sunday at Texas Women's University. They'll be meeting in an afternoon quad with number 25 NC State, Washington, and TWU. Florida grad student Rachel Bauman says the support from the rest of the team while competing always gives an extra boost.
It means absolutely everything. I think sideline team is a huge part of what we do. I mean, we couldn't do it without the support of every single person on this team. Like the cheering is, especially at the last meet, we could feel the energy from our team, even though the crowd was so loud. You can feel the Gator Nation behind you through our team.
Competition in Denton starts Sunday at 2. The Florida Gators men's basketball team unfortunately lost a 69-68 nail-biter to Mississippi State in the second round of the SEC tournament. The Gators were down by 10 at halftime, but then made an impressive comeback, going on a 13-2 run with 17 minutes left. Shooting guard Myron Jones was Florida's way into overtime as he hit 2 regulation back-to-back threes. And it would be Jones again who had a chance for the buzzer beater 3. But he just missed it, leaving the Gators' season hopes up to a bid to the NIT. Head coach Todd Golden said he would absolutely accept an invite to the NIT if they were given the opportunity. A top 10 matchup will go down at Disney Stadium tomorrow as the number 10 Florida Gator lacrosse team will host number 7 Loyola for its third top 10 matchup of the season. Florida is coming off a 17-2 victory against Arizona State last Sunday, while Loyola won its midweek matchup against Georgetown. The Gators are looking for its first top 10 matchup win as they've lost to number 1 North Carolina and number 6 Maryland in February. Opening draw against Loyola is slated for noon tomorrow. That's your local sports news. Now back to the desk.
Thanks, Gabriela. A coffin in the bathroom, a Ouija board on the wall, creepy clowns watching you sleep. How does that sound to you, Francis?
Sounds like a nightmare, but thrill seekers in Tampa have a fun adventure coming their way. That is, if they're brave enough. The Phantom History House is a new bed and breakfast owned and operated by Tampa couple Steve Blanchard and Tim Horton. With rooms starting at $175 a night, brave guests can choose one of 4 themed sleeping chambers, including the cemetery room, the portrait room, the Ouija board room, and the castle room. Even the bathrooms at the bed and breakfast are themed.
And before we leave you for spring break, I need to know how the roads are going to look on my drive back home to Jack's. Julia, you said to be cautious earlier, so what is the latest?
Well, Francis, Fareeha, Saturday is the perfect day for Gator Nationals. Get out to the Gainesville Raceway and get ready to start your engines with those sunny skies and those highs in the upper 70s. Now, those sunny skies are going to last throughout the weekend, so seeing that rise in temperature till Sunday and then dropping due to that second cold front on Monday. Spring forward on Sunday. Back to you.
Thanks, Julia. BBC World News is next, and the PBS New Hour is coming up at 7.
And Francis, me, and the rest of our news team will return to our regularly scheduled 5 p.m. broadcasts when we return from our spring break on the first day of spring on March 20th, which is actually my birthday. Have a good night.